This is Farris with Smash the Numbers. Today is game day. We've been waiting for months for this day. I'm going to go over a couple things. Obviously, there's a quarterback, potentially a two quarterback system. We're going to go over that. I'm also going to show you where to park today to sort of maximize value / time getting in and out. And we're going to talk about Sherrone Moore. There was a report from 97.1 that he actually does not have a contract. So we're going to cover all three of those things coming up right now. All right, let's talk about a potential for a two quarterback system. Okay, so some people say if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. I say if you have two quarterbacks, you have two quarterbacks. And potentially, if the entire team is on board with this and they're smart enough and have enough practice reps to adjust to each quarterback, and that includes both the line as well as skill players, I do think that it could work. Now, it's not typical, it's not common. So Davis Warren does have a challenge in competing with Alex Orji. They're both going to try to be at their top of the game. They're both going to try to beat out the other. But at the same time, I could see it working from a situation of when Michigan is potentially behind or they need passes. That's where you get Davis Warren in the game. When Michigan is ahead and they need to smash, they need to kill the clock, they need to maybe run a little bit more. That's where you'd have Alex Orji in the game. Now, in order for this to work, we really have to look at the percentages. So I'm going to share something right now. So what we're looking at here are some stats from 2023, but this is specific to Alabama. So if we look at Alabama's stats, and as you know, Alabama's in the SEC. Alabama played Michigan in the Rose Bowl. The SEC is known to be a quote unquote high flying league. But one thing I do want to point out is that Alabama had Jalen Milroe last year, and they adjusted to be more of a rushing team. In fact, if you look at the attempts, 23.2% attempts passing, 40.1 attempts rushing. The total offense had a total of 63.3 plays. What does that mean? Well, it means actually it was right around 63% rushing. So the total plays and the percentage rushing happened to be the same number, 63% rushing. So that actually meant less than 40% of the plays were passing. So 37% roughly plays were passing. Now let's look at Michigan as a comparison. All right, so now we're looking at the sports reference page for Michigan. And when we look at that, we see in 2023, Michigan passed 24.1%. I'm sorry, 24.1 times per game, rushing 37.5. That equates to about 61% of the time they were passing. So just to recap here, Michigan passed 61% of the time. Alabama, out of the high flying SEC, passed 63% of the time. So what we need to do is we need to maybe figure out a way that in a two quarterback system, we can get to a number that is probably higher than that 61, maybe that matching that Alabama number of 63, maybe 64 or 65, somewhere in there. And that is fine. That should be okay because the Michigan defense is so good. All right, so what does this look like? Well, Michigan last year was 15 of 24. Alabama was 14 out of 23 in terms of completions and attempts. So somewhere around, let's say, 14 completions, 23 attempts. All right, who's going to get the completion? So if Davis Warren is the starting quarterback, which it seems like it's probably headed that way, then out of those 14 completions, we're looking at, can he get 8 or 9 of those completions? And then when Alex Orji is in, he needs to get 5 or 6 of those completions. Now, the reason why Orji needs to get a few completions is because you've got to keep the defense honest, even when he's in there. So what does it look like? Well, it looks like potentially a 10-yard pass to a tight end with 10 yards of yak, or yards after catch. Also, it could be that he throws the ball long once or twice, attempts, and he's looking for a or Michigan's looking for a pass interference or blown coverage, something like that. It's putting more on video for Texas to look at. So that's the other piece of this as well. A lot of people are thinking that Michigan is going to be conservative against Fresno State in preparation for Texas to kind of keep everything close to the vest. I'm actually thinking it may be the opposite, especially if they have two quarterbacks that are very motivated to beat each other, to win the job, to make sure that they have a QB1 position in for Texas, and then for Michigan in general to get more on video. So I think it could work. But the thing is, Alex Orji needs to complete about 4, 5, 6 passes, and then Davis Warren needs to complete 9, 10, somewhere in there kind of passes. So that's what we're looking at. Certainly the defense is going to think run when Orji's in, and they're going to think pass when Davis Warren is in. So we'll see what happens with respect to that. I just wanted to give you my point of view before the game starts. And now let's look at the second topic I had, which is basically maybe you're heading to the game today. I just wanted to show you some of the secret places that I park for Michigan football. So smash the numbers analysis. Smash the numbers analysis isn't just about the football game per se. It's also about how we can maybe hack parking, things like that. So I live in California now, but when I lived in Michigan, this is what I would do to get to Michigan football games. It didn't make any sense for me to go um, to pay $50, $60 for parking. I can walk, an average person can walk about a half mile in about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit longer because of foot traffic and crossing streets and things like that. But just kind of think of it that way: half mile, 10 minutes. You can walk, you can do it. And the other thing about this is that when you're leaving the stadium, you're going to walk right past people who are stuck in parking lots. They paid the $40, $50, but you're going to get out of the stadium area faster than them by walking. All right, so I come in through M14. You could come in from I-94, but I come in through M14, and I like that because you can kind of go right into here. You go right into Main Street, and then where I've parked. And let's first show you where the stadium is. So we are here. Stadium's right there. There's Main Street. There's a stadium. You see Washtenaw Dairy. You see the downtown. So near Washtenaw Dairy, if you actually go a couple blocks west, you go anywhere in this area. I'll zoom in a little bit. If you get there relatively early enough, you should be able to get some kind of parking. Again, the stadium is here. You go a little bit north, you go a little bit west. Somewhere in here, typically there's a spot or two. These parking lots are designed for Monday through Friday resident parking. So if you're not a resident, you can only park there for 2 hours. So this area is actually not that great. If it's a weekday, you've only got 2 hours to park kind of in this area. But on a Saturday, you should be able to find a spot and you will get more than the 2 hours. Some sort of street parking. If you can't find anything here, you just keep going a little bit north. I've gone all the way up towards this area, and you just kind of walk through downtown, and then you just kind of go into a little bit more industrial kind of area. But there is typically parking here. You can certainly park in a lot that's up here, or even just downtown. Just pay for parking. That's fine. Those are some options. And again, we're talking about a half mile at most, maybe 3/4 of a mile walk. So again, just kind of recapping this: Michigan Stadium here. Go north, go a little bit west, and you should be able to find something. The other thing is that this highway or this road, Main Street, goes straight into the highway. So if you can figure out a way to just flow into Main Street, you're flowing in north of the stadium, you're beating all of the traffic of all the people that are here, maybe in the golf course area, Pioneer High School. You're ahead of them already in sort of getting out. And when it comes to getting out of Michigan Stadium with 110,000 people potentially there, uh, it's better to just get on a highway than it is to get on maybe the right highway, so to speak. So um, just even if it's a little bit inconvenient, I would say, I'll zoom out here so you can kind of see. I would say it's actually better to just get on M14. Let's assume you're in the Detroit area. Just get on M14, even if I-94 is more convenient to you. All right, now I'm going to cover the third topic, which is Sherrone Moore and the future. All right, the last thing I wanted to kind of cover in this video, and we're talking game day, so hopefully you've gotten something useful, smashed the numbers in terms of 2-quarterback system, smashed the numbers in terms of where to find parking for little or no cost. And now I want to kind of smash the numbers with Sherrone Moore's contract. 97-1, the ticket reported, or they were, I think it was, the original source was USA Today, that Sherrone, the fact that Sherrone Moore actually does not have a signed contract. He only has an MOU, memorandum of understanding. That's my understanding of it anyway. I think Mike Valente on the he's a Spartans fan, and he's not a Michigan fan, let's put it that way, was suggesting that maybe this is to protect Michigan from anything that might happen to Sherrone Moore, so they could just quote unquote let him go. He has not actually signed a contract, or there isn't a large agreement in place, a thick document agreement in place. There's just that memorandum of understanding. My thought is that it's probably not high on the radar for Sherrone Moore, and it'll get signed. I don't see that as being a big issue. I do remember other coaches that just kind of had a back of the envelope kind of agreement to just coach because they love the university so much. We'll see what happens with respect to this. I do think that it is something that is interesting, that he wouldn't have a contract per se, but it's probably something to monitor, but it's probably not something to be super worried about, is what I'd say with respect to that. I do credit 97-1 for bringing light to this. It's something that that many Michigan fans don't know, but I do think that Sherrone Moore is going to be fine. My opinion on what's going to happen based on what I know is that the actual NCAA penalty is not going to be that great. There may be a game or two that Sherrone Moore has to sit out. In addition to that, there may be a fine. That fine could be significant. I guess maybe that's the one thing. There could be scholarships that are lost. What happens beyond that really depends on what the NCAA has found, so to speak. I'm not sure that they've actually found that much. That's all I'm seeing so far, based on what is out there right now. Let me know what you think. I'm going to continue doing these videos. Um, Rename the channel Smash the Numbers. So please like and subscribe to this video. Thank you.